Hi and welcome to Architectural Technology 101. The whole idea about this channel is to talk about architectural technology. It's a channel meant to help struggling professionals, different students in doing architectural technology, especially in Southern Africa, because that's where the whole concentration of more architectural technologies can be found, and architectural technology as a program can be found. So if you're a student studying AT or doing AT, or a fresh graduate or a struggling professional, this is your channel. Stay tuned and we'll do a lot of things, try to go through different things and see where we can go with however little skill you have. So yeah, this is the introductory video, and what we're going to do, I'm just going to give you highlights of what we'll be doing here. Starting with our notebook here. It's an artboard. It's a visual jotter that I can't have said it, but it's more or less like a sketch pad. It's an A5 type, and I just want to take you through the whole process basically of AT and what you'll be doing as an AT person. Let's start with the first thing on the page. Here I had a sketch of a building. It was supposed to be like a 3-story structure, apartment for staff housing for a certain let's just say company or institution. Not get into the details because this was a tender for where I was working, but the idea was just basically this. You had a brief, and then to sketch out what was going on and the possibility, because the site was sloping, and I was looking at the existing structures and what I was proposing to mirror that, and how was it going to interact with the whole thing, and how the central spaces were going to work, and then begin developing the elevations and looking at how you take that and translate it into a face, and how that face is going to interact basically with the human eye, with human scale, and all the above. So this is how you definitely want to start. You always want to start on paper and sketch. I do a lot of sketching, as you can see. I do from furniture and generally everything. You just want to be able to transition from concept up until you see the final product, because basically architectural technology is an innovative program that comes into play looking at the future. The future is becoming more technological, and architects and the construction side need someone to be a liaison between that and them, so able to translate new technologies or innovate new technologies in architecture, or use technologies to create smoother and easier working environments. So taking this for an example, you'd go from sketch and the brief, and you'll be able to produce something that's quite tangible, something that's quite interesting in, let's say, CAD or in a BIM program. Talking about CAD and BIM, that should be your world as an architectural technologist. You should understand what software can do what and which types of software exists out there, because you have examples of BIM programs, parametric programs, simple CAD programs that are there for drafting, like the AutoCAD, and modeling programs, visualization programs, different things. So this should be a good intro to that. But the main basic point you need to start with basics. And the basics just simply involve knowing how to sketch. And an example here on the other page is was a house. Got a brief, start sketching what that brief was saying. This is the same house. Started off here, then sort of treated like what was happening there, then you evolve it to the next thing. Sometimes the evolution can be sort of unrelated, but sometimes it can be related, where you can see how something changed from this to that. This was sort of like two split ideas, then I ended up running with this, and it became sort of the final idea. on to the next thing. And the other thing, every time you're working, you want to be able to jot down stuff. Every time you want to work, you always at a point whereby you're able to have a brief. A brief lets you know what you're told, whether by your boss or by the teacher, lecturer, and you're able to deduct your own reasoning and objectivity from that, and able to list what you want to achieve. And of course, the brief will also include things like the program. Like for an example, this is a sketch house a friend of mine had asked me to do, and then I put down all his brief and set out a program for the house, and then I began developing a sketch in pencil. Then I'd moved on to more pencil, then turned into ink, and then was sort of taking options into what the elevations would look like. But that's something we'll look at in a different video. Just like the other sketches, they'll be explained in different videos.
Are we dreaming? Are we dreaming? Are we dreaming?
Then we have something a little bit different here. This is another house. Friend of mine had asked me to do, and then but let's ignore that one. And this was quite an interesting one. A company called Troika Design Workshop was sort of saying they were hiring, and then the process of their hiring was quite unique. They were looking at the fact that they wanted to, they'd put out a brief, a fake brief, I guess, and a fake site, or a real site, whatever the case may be. Then they wanted you to design sort of like a pavilion / house thing with all the specs and briefs put into that. And this was where it started, like 3 circles forming and blending into an organic form, and all the outer spaces blending into that, and all of this happening at a sloped site and all that stuff.
Are we dreaming? Are we dreaming? Are we dreaming? Are we dreaming? Are we dreaming?
And then we're going to be looking at how to use different media to produce interesting sketches. This is not a top quality sketch, but you can sort of pick up the idea of what's happening here. This was supposed to be a preschool in Mozambique for this other competition. Never managed to take this from paper to card, and never managed to even pay for the competition to register. So that sort of died in midair. But what you see here is an introduction on tools, different media, on how to produce better communicative sketches. And these are ink pens. Let me show you the different types I use. There's this one you've already seen. It's technical pen, and these come sized. They come sized. Like this is a 0.2. And then you have these are like they're called the superior. They're alcohol-based markers. And then you have calligraphy pens. These are quite interesting. I'll show you with the thick one what they can do. Then we have similar to this. They're called the touch. Alcohol-based markers. They work on the same principle. These are like the cheap and alcohol-based markers. There's the pricey one, and the pricey one are the Copics. If you can find yourself a Copic, you would have helped yourself a lot, but they work basically the same way, and it doesn't matter which one you have, you'll still achieve whatever you can achieve. And basically you just always need to have a pencil case filled with all kinds of pencils and pens, and because that comes very much in handy when you're producing your sketches. Because to be a better student or professional, then these are the cheap ends, they're the cores. If you want to be a better technologist or a great student in this program, you need to be able to communicate via sketch, communicate your idea. Like in this case, it was supposed to be a preschool, and the whole thing was linked by one continuous line, which is going to be sort of like a perforated honeycomb type of wall, and the spaces were going to exist in between. And all this was because most of African architecture is organic, and you're looking at that. And the place it was located in Mozambique was near the sea, and the people are fishermen, and so forth and so forth. So we're going to be using sails, like kind of a thing, like homemade sails to roof the whole structure. It was going to be interesting, but maybe we'll develop this in a future tutorial or in a future talk. Hope it works out. And this was going to be a warehouse. So you look at things, we'll be looking at things like this. Well, now you can go from sketch, simple warehouse, looking at how you can develop a cladding like this and attach it to the building, how you can make this work in a different context, like in a typical kind of context, and how you can create interesting cladding systems and which materials you can use, which suppliers you can look for around. Like I said, we'll be mainly focused in Southern Africa because that's the particular reason why I'm doing this. Is not many people are doing such things locally here, and I feel there's a lot of us, and some of us, or a lot of us in the AT industry, don't get why we're doing this, and some feel like they've been left behind. They don't get what's this, and I feel AT is the future because technology is ever growing and is ever moving forward, and you're definitely going to need more technologists in any industry. Here is a typical sketch of a tower, and this looks like a little piece of child's play, I guess. But any sketch, I always tell it, any people who want to talk about sketching, any friend, any student, to say, you don't need to be perfect in a sketch. You need to understand what you're trying to communicate and take all of that. When you add different colors, it starts to communicate a bit better. You can take something like this, which is basic. The idea was just having two towers, which are connected by three bridges, hence the idea of Oasis 3 towers, and having this very interesting organic or parametric form at the bottom, forming the podium, and the structures growing away from each other and then linked like that. So I'm going to be looking at this at a future time, how you can just create basic shells and be able to model this in CAD or in BIM, and take that in BIM and go to visualize it quickly just to share an idea or just for fun. And we're going to be looking at things like how to develop your concepts from scratch, and to move on from there, and how you need to understand how to develop proportions, to understand proportions and understand scale from memory. You need to be good at that, because this is like an A5, but I'm sketching a very large structure. This is like supposed to be a block of a school, but of course the project hasn't been realized for certain reasons. But you need to be understanding how to develop things in scale, sketch things in scale. Then you can always have the A4 type. The A4 type by different, same system. How to develop different sketches, how to work with those sketches, how to take something like this, further improve it to become something like that. And in each case, you're looking at how you develop each thing, and how you can work with something like that as a tower. Grow it. I was calling this the Oculus Tower, pretty much based on the same Oasis 3 towers. And then same principle, need to understand how to grow from brief, to party, to bubble diagrams like this. You need to understand how to sketch in perspective so that you can communicate your idea from head to paper, because it's like Bjarke would say, this is the fastest way to communicate an idea from the brain.